we scored a goal and Bournemouth just missed all their chances that they had. Same maybe with Brentford. We're going to discuss that. So it's going to be a very interesting show, very interesting conversation. Of course, I want your thoughts in the comment section below. Because a lot of people have their own opinion on this, and it's very interesting to see the different side of the coin. Before we get into it, big up to Andy Hoyle, DJ Christopher, Karl, Andrew, Tyrese, Itchy Gold, big up to Mark. I'm actually slightly ill, mate, today, to be honest with you. I'm still ill. Big up to Jay Blee, Charlie, JSH, good to see you, man. Bored with this, Conip, Alvida Zane, Dr. Footy, Mank Ninja, Nathan Ake is in the building. Good to see you, mate. Big up to Kipat's Kid, Ming, Yi, Dave, City 9320. Big up to Jonathan, Robert Atkinson Photography. Go to him for all your photography needs, guys. Big up to Charlie. Wayne's in the building. Congratulations last night on the title success, mate. Nariman, Abdallah. Good to see you guys. Hopefully you're all doing well. Make sure you drop a like on the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. How you doing, bro? You all right?
Yes, I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. I've recovered from my drunk watch along yesterday. That was fun. League Cup final.
You was drunk, was you?
We do drinking games for cup finals for
nice.
Funsies. And,
I've been drunk on an NFL watch along.
Yes, and I was in the comments for a bit of that.
Yeah, I don't remember. Sorry, I don't remember anything really. And it didn't go particularly well in the end. Bro, City a second. We got another win, another clean sheet. Are you more concerned with how we're playing because we're not playing particularly great, or are you sort of on the side of no, we're getting 1-0 victories? This is very good. Like, where are you on the sort of spectrum, Bray?
I'm more on the former than the latter. I am getting concerned. I'm getting a bit worried. If we compare like where we were sort of like last stage of the season in terms of our comeback and that sort of thing. In fact, I just double checked the dates. We went to Bournemouth away, basically the exact same day, and we won 4-1 there. We were 4-0 up at one point, and it was just like a late consolation goal. So this does feel very, very different. I know it's as City fans, it's very easy to sit here and go, "Oh, we'll click into gear soon. Don't worry, it'll happen. But the history tells us that it should have happened by now. And if anything, the performances seem to be taking backward steps at times. I was really happy with the Bournemouth first half. I thought we were very good. One of the best halves of football I've seen from us this season, to be honest. But then when they sort of put us under pressure, we made some weird subs, and we sort of went a little bit backwards. So I'm personally I can't be too convinced that we are going to pull it out the bag because I haven't yet seen the evidence in front of me. This is something I discussed yesterday on my channel. The United game is a perfect springboard to get that momentum back. We'll basically have everyone fully fit. Grealish was on the bench. Hopefully he'll be able to get some minutes against Luton in the FA Cup and then maybe start against United. United's are in an injury crisis. We're at home. We should beat them easily. And then the next Premier League game after that is Anfield. So as I say, it's a perfect springboard to properly kickstart the title running. So I guess I'm waiting on that result and that game before I make any conclusions. But I'm expecting a win, and I need to see a good performance as well, a dominant display, as I say, to give us that morale boost and that momentum.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of with you. I think that the way we've been playing recently isn't particularly great. However, there is that old saying of when you don't play great but win football matches, that is sort of like a good sign into title race. The thing is, and I think I've seen someone in the chat put it before. I'm sorry, I don't know who put it. I forget the name. But whilst it's good and that, it's good you beat Brentford. Whilst it's good you beat Bournemouth one not play particularly well, and I think it does sort of lead to resilience building inside the squad. It's certainly not sustainable. Yeah. You have to kick on. Now, I like to believe, that when we play against Man United, against the Arsenals and that we will up our game. I'd like to believe that. And people say, why do you like to believe that? Why? Because if I don't believe that, you might as well forget the Premier League right now, lads. Yeah? Because if you play like we did against Bournemouth, against even Man United, play that against them, play that against Arsenal, Liverpool, forget about the Premier League, it's over. So I like to believe that we are going to play better against those sides, because I like to believe that we're going to win the Premier League, and I believe that we will win the Premier League. But at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. We have to put out better performances than what we put out against Bournemouth. That second half performance against Bournemouth was wild. Wild. I mean, this is a team that's 14th. And listen, I give respect. I'm having serious issues with the sun at the moment. I give serious respect to Bournemouth because I think they're a good side, and I've seen them get some good results and play good football. But we're the treble winners. We just won the Champions League, the Premier League, the FA Cup. We've won the Super Cup. You know what I mean? We've won the Club World Cup, and we were really, really poor in that second half. And I've seen some people say we weren't poor in the second half. We were. You know what I mean? I checked the stats again before second half stats. They had more shots than us. They had a better XG than us. They improved their possession stats from the first half than us. So we were really poor in that second half. However, we got the win. And I do think that builds resilience because, you know, the players clearly knew. I don't know if you've seen the John Stones interview, Nobbins, after the game with Sky that he did.
Yeah.
The players were well aware that was going to be a tough game. Yeah, so they got in, they got out with the points. That's very, very good. But, you know, we have to improve. Now, we're coming up against Luton tomorrow. Yeah. If anyone thinks this is going to be an easy game, you are delusional, man. I'm sorry, you're delusional. It's going to be well hard. I've watched pretty much every Luton game where they played against a top side at, is it Kenilworth Road, the stadium? I've watched pretty much every game doing watch-alongs. I've watched it in the pub or something, yeah? They have been so unlucky, yeah, not to get more results than they have. Yeah, they conceded the last-minute winner against Declan Rice and Arsenal. They were very unlucky against Man United. They drew at home to Liverpool. They got beat 1-0 off Spurs. We beat them only 2-1. Yeah, this is a decent team at home. I think away from home, it's a different kettle of fish. But this is going to be a tricky game, and we need to improve our performances. But like I say, for me personally, I like to believe that when we get into these big games now, these players are going to go, right, it's time to improve our sort of our performances, right?
Yeah, well, it's now or never, isn't it? Like the season is rapidly drawing to a close. It sounds dramatic because it's still got, like, you know, 12 Premier League games left or whatever. But we are getting into crunch time now. It has to happen now. There's no room for margin. There's no room for any mistakes. Liverpool and Arsenal realistically aren't going to drop, you know, outside of like games against us, whatever we think those results might be. But realistically, they're not going to drop that many more points from now to the end of the season. So we've got to be borderline, basically perfect. And that's easier said than done. I think lots of people take for granted the fact that we go on these mental runs. It's not a common thing in football for, you know, when we went on that mental run in the Centurion season, when we went on that mental run in the domestic quadruple season, you know, won like however many on the bounce. And that's with a better team as well, by the way, and a better squad. So it's not guaranteed that we will be able to go on this insane run. And it's certainly not going to be guaranteed if we make weird decisions in respect of personnel and team selection as well. If you guys have like been following like these Elbins shows, and even if you've been on my channel, like either for my post-match post-mortems or whatever, then you'll know that I've got a big gripe with some decisions that Pep's made this season in respect of whether it's a starting 11 or indeed, as we saw against Bournemouth, substitutions. I actually thought the starting 11 was really good against Bournemouth. Balanced midfield, our best defence in respect of individual defenders. First half, as I say, fantastic. But then the game was going away from us in sort of like the first 5 to 10, 15 minutes of that second half. What we needed to do in those moments was to bring on some players who can control the game, you know, take down the nerves and retain the ball, because Bournemouth were pressing us aggressively. We needed to bring on someone in the mould of Grealish, Lewis, Oscar Bob. What we didn't need to do was bring on vertical, direct footballers in Jeremy Doku and Kevin De Bruyne and take off our outlet in Haaland, because what that meant was we had no out ball, so it meant that we couldn't punt it long to evade their press. It meant that we took off Kovacic, which was insane, because I thought he was fantastic, winning fouls, etc. Bring on De Bruyne, who wasn't particularly good when he came on, and as I say, he's more direct, more likely to lose the ball, and Doku, who again wasn't great, and there were just so many weird moments where it was like one in the 91st minute. He could have just gone into the corner. Instead, he tries to take on his man and gives away a goal kick.
Oh, no,
There
yeah.
was another moment where he was like tribbled up on, and clearly the play is to hold onto the ball and pass it to a teammate. He tries to take on 3 players at once, which is admirable, but at the same time is stupid when you're under the cosh in a game against Bournemouth away from home. If he told me that the score was 1-0 and we were bringing on Doku and De Bruyne away against Bournemouth, I would have assumed it was 1-0 to Bournemouth and that we were chasing the game.
Can I maybe just throw something at you as to why I think he done that?
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I think I have the answer as to why he did that. Because I agree. When you look at it in the cold light of day, you go in, why on earth has he done that? Why has he took Kovacic off? Why has he put Doku on? Why is he doing De Bruyne? It doesn't make sense. I think the reason he did that is because Bournemouth were pressing very high up the pitch. We were getting some success in playing out from the back, but we weren't really utilising it. I think genuinely, Pep Guardiola just thought, get the big boys on and go and score a goal. Get Kevin De Bruyne on. Get Doku on. Because Nunes at that point was having a lot of 1v1s. Nunes up against, was it Adam or whatever he's called? Adam Smith. Yeah, he was getting a lot of 1v1s. I think, because I agree what you're saying, it does look strange, but I understand maybe why Pep did it, because I think he done it because he thought, if I put Doku on, put Kevin De Bruyne on, we can win this game. We can go get a second goal and then it's game over. But it didn't really pan out like that because Doku ended up losing the ball a little bit more than he needed to. He wasn't great going forward. Same with maybe Kevin De Bruyne. They probably weren't ideal, but I understood. Do you maybe see why he did it? Because I think he did it to try and get that second goal. And if he would have got the second goal, we'd all been chilling. Would have been like, oh, great, game over. Great tactical move.
So I agree we needed a second goal in that game, but I don't agree the way to do that was to bring on those players. I think if anything, we think about. I'm going to big up Bournemouth here. I'm going to use like a different, a massive example. If you think of our games last season, our massive games away against Real Madrid and away against Bayern, how did we, create goal-scoring opportunities away from home? Did we do that by going more direct and popping off, or did we actually realize we were seceding a bit of control, and did we actually bait their press and wait and then hit them with controlled counterattacks? That's what we did. That's how we were able to get a lot of joy. So we were still dangerous in transition, but we were still able to be a bit more controlled with the ball as well. So that's why I think actually it makes more sense to go backwards, to go forwards. We need to bring on players who are going to be happier under their press, bait them, leave space in behind, and then you can find the runners. I think actually makes more sense to do that and go for more control to attack rather than to attack directly, if that makes sense. And it's not just a case of hindsight. I said it when the subs happened. My whole live chat was saying it as well. Why is Doku coming on? We need more control, if anything. We're going to lose the ball more now. And that's exactly what happened. We suffered more counterattacks, and it turned out to be the wrong call, quite frankly. Without our individual defenders, who were brilliant, we definitely don't win that game.
Okay, interesting. Again, it's interesting hearing the different point of views on this, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We have got this news coming out. I think most of us knew this was happening anyway.
That's big.
But yeah, Oscar Bob signing a new 5-year contract today, which will see his salary more than triple to around 50 grand a week. So there you go. No cost of living crisis in the Oscar Bob family household. Big up to LB with the super chat. Said, did you see City's Twitter post trolling Palmer yesterday? I've not seen it. Have you seen it, bro?
No. I have not.
Yeah, I've not seen it. And I scrolled through Twitter before when you sent the super chat in, bro, to look at it. And I've not seen anything. So maybe you could like send me it on Twitter or something or Instagram. I've not seen it, to be honest with you. Big up to Babanga, I think it is. Big up to you, bro. It says, in the last 2 weeks, I'm more confident we will win the league. In the past 24 months, we played 10 more games than anyone. Team is human. Don't worry, City. Of course, Pep Guardiola did mention about the amount of games that we played. And, Babanga's obviously done the maths there. 10 more games than anyone else. That is quite a lot of football, really. You know what I mean? It's, like a quarter of a season, really. So, that is a lot of football. And Pep Guardiola did mention that. This is why I'm sort of looking at tomorrow night's game, bro, thinking, is he going to make changes? Because we've got a massive game that we need to win at the weekend. I've said all season that I have a bad feeling about the FA Cup. The narrative is there because I spoke about it before, how Luton really I'm gonna get a big result at Kenilworth Road at some point. Yeah. Do you think he rests players for tomorrow ahead of the game against United?
I think that I think that I think Oscar Bob will start, for example. I
Mm,
think that Rico Lewis will start, but I don't think there'll be wholesale changes. I think that maybe Nunes will probably start as well. So it will definitely be a rotated side, but it's not going to be a bad team. It's not like he's going to throw the game and we're going to see a load of kids who we've never seen before or whatever. They might be on the bench, but I think that certain players who are coming back from injury need minutes for sharpness. Jack Grealish, for example, is one of them. If he's fit enough to start, I think he should start. So he gets a solid 60 to 70 minutes in him. I'd expect maybe Haaland to be rested and Alvarez to start up top. Alvarez was actually rested for once in the Premier League, so I'd expect Alvarez to start up top. But yeah, so it will be a relatively rotated side, but we will still see plenty of first teamers. If I say the names Oscar Bob, Nunes, Alvarez, these are technically players who you might say are in our Enrico Lewis, players who you would say are in our B team if everyone was fully fit, but they are still very good players at the end of the day. I think there'll be a mix. To be fair, I think there'll be a mix of players, and as I say, the main focus will be on getting the likes of Jack Grealish up to full sharpness. It will be interesting to see what happens with Rodri. Will he just give him a full rest and risk a midfield of Bernardo Nunes?
You've got to give him a rest, man. You're crazy if you've got Rodri in your starting 11 tomorrow.
I'd like him, if possible. I'd like him to be rested. Yeah, because crunch time is coming up. And we need him available every single minute, basically.
Can I ask you about, you mentioned him there, can I ask you about Matheus Nunes? What did you think of him? Because he played on the left wing against Bournemouth. These are his stats. He played just over an hour. He had 5 dribbles, 3 of them were successful. He only misplaced 4 passes. 1 key pass in the game, 4 crosses, 2 of them successful. He had a long ball there, successful as well. Quite successful in his ground duels, winning over 50% of them. Didn't win his only aerial duel, only lost the ball 11 times, 1 clearance and 1 tackle. I find, again, this debate about Matheus Nunes very interesting because it's just, there's a lot of Marmite players in our team, isn't there? You know what I mean? There's a lot of players in our team where you've got City fans who back them, and then you've got City fans who are like, no, the crap. I thought Nunes played quite good. I thought he played quite well. I actually really liked the way how he held the ball. I thought that actually, if you're playing a game where you needed Jack Grealish style player, but Jack Grealish isn't there, or you needed to rest him, then Nunes is probably a slightly better option than Doku for that style of game. He was great with his dribbles. He's probably more direct than Grealish, but less direct than Doku. Left foot maybe isn't ideal, but it is what it is. I thought he played quite well, but then I goes on Twitter, and obviously some people in the chat was like, he was crap. So where did you fall on the Nunes thing? Because this is again a player and a performance against Bournemouth that really, really did split opinion.
Yeah, that surprises me because I thought Nunes was good. I didn't know he could play left wing, to be honest. I've never seen him play there for Wolves. Maybe he has. I've certainly never seen him play there for City on a regular basis. So I was pleasantly surprised when I saw.
I'll check the transfer mark.
Yeah, sure. If there are Wolves fans here who have seen him play on the left, let me know because I didn't know he could do that. So it was a fantastic surprise for me because when I saw the lineup and I saw no nominal left winger, I was like, oh god, is Foden going to be shunted out to the left wing again? But no, sort of immediately you see him. Okay, so he's played some games there. Okay, interesting. Not as many as you might think, but that's really interesting. Yeah. So when I saw him play on the left, I thought that was fantastic. Allows Foden to play in the middle, and he carries the ball well. This was a perfect game for him because he plays better when he has space to run into. That's why he was so good against Burnley, less good against Everton when there was less space. I thought, yeah, and when he's able to carry the ball, he's got very long legs, so he covers the ground very quickly and well. He tracks back. Obviously, the final product in terms of crossing and decisions could be better, but I thought it was a pleasant surprise, and I thought he played well against Bournemouth.
Yeah, I thought he did. Like I say, I think it's certainly, in my opinion, I think it's certainly an option. I think it's certainly an option of having Nunes play there. Listen, I don't think he's going to be playing there week in, week out, yeah. But I just think like I say, in certain games, I genuinely think Nunes on that left wing is a great option to have. Like I say, I feel that Nunes is a balance in between Grealish and Doku. So if you're playing a game where maybe Grealish almost has too much control and you need a little bit more, you could play Nunes. If you're playing a game where it's full spam mode, you could play Doku. You know, I feel like you've got an option there. And you know, one thing that I've said about Nunes is I like him as a player. I think he's a good player. When people say to me, Albie, what do you think about Nunes? I say, I think he's a good player. I think he was a panic buy, but I think he's a good player. Do I think he's good enough for City? Yeah, I think he's probably good enough for City as a squad rotational player. That's not my issue. My issue was I never really seen where he would fit into the team. Now, it's been here, what now, like 8 months or something like that, yeah? We now start, or probably slightly less than that. We're now starting to see Nunes, where he could fit in certain games. So potentially games where we're being pressed and we need a quick transition player, Nunes could potentially play that and do quite well. We've now seen another position that he can play, left wing. And it is only one game. I get it, yeah. Before anyone says it's only one game, I get it, it's only one game, right? We need to see more evidence of it. But I certainly think that he did quite a good job. And yeah, I thought again, you know, when Doku come on, we probably lost slightly less control on that side. He made probably some young, naive decisions when he played on that left. But listen, I like to see players succeed at my football club. I don't want to sit here and say this guy's not good enough for Manchester City. Why did we sign and get rid? So I'm going to look for the positives in it. If they're not good enough, like Calvin Phillips, I'll obviously just say that. I can just say, you know, give him a chance. Like Calvin Phillips clearly wasn't good enough. Nunes, you know, I've seen some people comparing Nunes to Phillips. I think that's completely unfair comparison.
No, that's
I think it's completely unfair. I mean, Nunes looks like he could potentially fit in. I just think he needs time to work out where he can play.
Yeah, and again, he needs to be played in the right games as well. He needs to. It's basically redundant to play him against a team who don't give any space because he thrives in big spaces. Again, I'll repeat, that's why he played well against Burnley. That's why, in my opinion, he played well against Bournemouth, because they press high, they play a high line. That means that there's space to run into. That's when Grealish also plays well, by the way. And Nunes is a similar style of player. If you ask him to play in small spaces and with first touch intricate football, then no, he's probably not your man. But put him up against a Bournemouth, Burnley, Brighton, a team who will open up, then his skill set is very useful for City, and it's great that he's versatile enough to play on the left as well. And as you say, have this middle ground of Grealish and Doku, and it allows Foden to play in the midfield as well. Brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to try and build a starting 11 for tomorrow's game because I do think it's going to be interesting to see what Pep does. Big up to Pitblock says we need Martin here to add some positivity. Well, hopefully he'll join me on the pre-match build-up for tomorrow's game, and then he'll probably say 4-5-0 like he normally does. So get yourself in tomorrow.
I don't think I've been negative, by the way. I think I'm just being quite realistic. I'm not going to be blindly positive or optimistic. I try to be objective and realistic.
I don't think you've been. No, I don't think I've been. I don't think anyone's been negative. I'm not seeing too much negativity in the chat. I think it's just honest conversation. Big up to LB as well. Says not gonna lie, I think Nunes would be class against the Rags. Says LB. Well, they typically sit back against us.
That's what I'm thinking. If it was a fully fit United, then maybe. But this is a United side which has loads of injuries, and they've just got they've just got beaten at home against Fulham. I think if anything, they will rock up to the Etihad with the most disgusting of low blocks you'll ever see. It'll be like Everton 2.0 again.
Yeah. No, I agree. I actually disagree with you out there, LB. I don't think he would be perfect for United because I don't think that they'll press us. I think they'll set back. I actually kind of agree with Karl here. Probably Copenhagen will be a good game because they've got to press us. They've got to go for it because the 2 goals down. So Nunes against Copenhagen, that could be the game to potentially play. But hey, it's all about opinions. Right, let's try and build a starting 11 for tomorrow's game against Luton. Again, another football match. You know, the players are not getting too much rest at the moment. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you're in all the competitions, can you really moan about it? Probably not. You know, not for me. So obviously Ortega's going to start in goal.
Yes.
That's obviously clearly going to happen. What do we think is going to happen at the back line? Because surely, well, I say surely, John Stones, you'd imagine probably won't feature in there. Gavardiol, as far as I'm aware, is still out injured. So you've not really got too many options. You've got Sergio Gomez, Rico Lewis, who could potentially come in there. They've obviously not played too much football recently. Do you expect to see maybe Rico at right back?
I expect to see Rico, but I don't know if I expect to see him at right back. I might, because I think Walker might start. So I think that I think we will see Lewis, but I think Lewis might be given like an out and out midfield role.
Midfield. Okay. So what do you think the back line's going to be? Surely John Stones ain't playing.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of left backs, it has to be Ake just by default, doesn't it? Because Gavardiol's out. He's not going to play Sergio Gomez against Luton.
Do you not reckon?
I don't think so. I think
should I check his minutes? Sergio Gomez.
I'd be very surprised if he did that. I think
he's going to want football for us this year, bro.
I think he's going to want quite a physical back line. I don't think Pep wants to sack off the FA Cup. Luton are obviously a very physical side.
He's played.
I just don't know.
Yeah, he played against Huddersfield at home, but obviously that's Huddersfield, not Luton.
We can put him in for the sake of it if you'd like.
He played against Newcastle in the cup.
Yeah. Okay. Let's pop in Gomez then.
What do you think he's going to put Gomez in there though? No, let's not do that then. Let's put Ake in there.
But it's not what I think. It's your team.
Well, I don't know about Gomez, man, because I agree. You know, I mean, maybe if it was a home game, I'd probably send it. But it's away, and I just think Kenilworth Road, mate, is not the place to be messing around. Honestly, you've got to give credit to Luton, man. That their own form, although they probably still lost quite a lot of games, they're a good team, and I want to bloody win this competition, man. Now, listen, I think I've got a bad feeling about this competition. I've had a bad feeling about the FA Cup all season, but I ain't throwing it. Right, let's go Ake. So,
or we could play Gomez left back without the ball, and then with it, he could go to left wing, as we've seen Gavardiol do. Would that tempt you to put him in?
Yeah, I'd do that. So you've got like this, and then it would be a Kanji or Diaz. Stones, surely.
Definitely not Stones. I reckon that he would go for probably a Diaz in that case.
Okay, so this is a back four, potentially, right? But what it is, guys, Gomez is going to play the Gavardiol position, which he played against Luton away when we played Alvarez in the sort of false nine. And we go to a sort of back three off the ball.
Exactly.
On the ball, sorry. So, okay. I'm kind of chilling with that.
It might be interesting. You never know.
It could either be a master plan or a disaster, but we'll run with that. Now, here's when it gets interesting because, like I say, surely no one's putting Rodri in the team for this game. So let's have a look at the midfield options. You got Lewis, De Bruyne, Kovacic, Rodri, Nunes, Bernardo, and Foden. So they're your midfield options, and obviously you do still have Alvarez, who's kind of a midfielder as well. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. We've got 3. So we need to think about our defensive options. There's only really 2 players maybe that I think are capable of playing that central defensive position. It's probably Kovacic and Nunes, who are physical enough. I don't think Rico Lewis is quite physical enough to do it yet. Maybe in a few years he can potentially do it. So, I mean, he was talking about United. Could you have Nunes? I've wanted to see Nunes play this 6th position all season. We've not really seen it. Who would you go for in the sort of more defensive, deeper position here?
Yeah, it's... I think ideally I'd probably want a pivot of Bernardo and Nunes, but I just don't know if it makes sense to start Bernardo. So I probably do agree with you. It probably makes more sense to have Kovacic and Nunes, because that's quite, especially off the ball, that's a very solid midfield pairing.
Yeah.
It is. They're both very good ball carriers as well. We saw against at Bournemouth, Kovacic is good at winning fouls as well in the intricate build-up. So I think that could work quite well, yeah. Let's have Kova Nunes, and let's give Bernardo a rest.
Yeah, Bernardo a rest. Rico Lewis then is, I guess, the guy who's playing in there as well?
I think we need to give Foden a rest because he's played like more minutes than everyone. I think the Foden, can we give De Bruyne a rest as well?
Yeah.
Rodri as well?
Yeah.
Definitely Alvarez. We need I'm just thinking maybe Lewis doesn't quite fit now, does he? With this current setup, I definitely want Oscar Bob starting.
Well, you know what? I'd run the wingers. I'd run Oscar Bob, Doku, right? That's what I'd do.
4, 3. Doku right.
The question is, because with that, right, I'm chilling, yeah, on this. Obviously, Gomez is a bit of like a, going to the casino, throwing all your money on red or black, but it is what it is. I'm kind of chill with this. This is obviously slightly an issue in terms of like creativity. Pretty solid, actually. You know what I mean? Like if we conceded more than a goal from that defense and that midfield, I'd be pretty disappointed. But creativity could be a bit of an option in that midfield if you run that 3. But you've still got, obviously, Oscar Bob in this system would invert slightly and Gomez would be there. So you still have creativity with Oscar Bob.
Yeah, I think that I like that. Yeah.
I genuinely think that's all right, mate.
So with the ball, it could be Ake, Diaz, Walker, in the back 3. Ahead of them in the pivot, it's Kovacic and Nunes. That's a 3-2 build-up. The 2 ahead of them would be Lewis as like the right central midfielder, Bob as the left central midfielder. The wingers, Gomez, Doku, the striker. Yeah, that is still a strong team, which also works, and from a functional perspective. And it rests some of our key players, such as Ederson, De Bruyne, etc. I'd like to see Grealish introduced, maybe not start because he's still coming back from injury. But yeah, that's a strong team. It's intricate in the midfield as well with Bob and Lewis. So if you need to operate in the small spaces, you've got that. You got the solid base, Kovacic and Nunes. You got Doku on the right, which I think is his best position. Yeah, I like the look of that.
I think that's fine. I don't think. Would I give Hamilton a chance? Nah, because you're gonna play him. You're gonna play him above. Oh, I got intruder, Brit.
My cat has joined the stream. Hello, that's Evie. She's my little tuxedo kitten.
Yo, chat spam hello cat in the chat. Come on. Yeah, no, seriously, man. I think that starting level's all right. Because at the end of the day, yeah, you got to understand here, chat, is that, this is an FA Cup game. We've got to rest some players. We can't be playing the Kevin De Bruynes. We can't be playing the Haalands, the Rodris, the Stoneses. You got to make some changes, man. Do you know what I mean? And I think that, genuinely, I don't think that's as bad as people are making out in the chat.
No, that is still even though that's a very rotated side, that is still a very strong team. You would expect to win most games. Yeah.
You're telling me this team can't go to Luton Town and get a win? I'm sorry, that's just ridiculous.
Exactly. It definitely can. And even though we have rotated, it's still not weak. Starting Lewis isn't a weakness. Starting Oscar Bob isn't a weakness. Starting Alvarez as a striker isn't a weakness. The defense is still very, very solid. So I think that's absolutely fine. And we can't, start De Bruyne, start Rodri, start Phil Foden, because we need these players recuperated, rested, and available and at it for Old Trafford, and then the Champions League knockout game, which is still a tricky game potentially, and then at Anfield, and then we've got all the games and there's an international break, which sounds like they'll get a break, but no, because all our players will be starting and playing for their nations as well. So yeah, in this crucial run-in, you need to. And also, just from a squad harmony perspective, you need to be starting your squad players, otherwise they'll get restless and unhappy. You don't want an unhappy dressing room. So, people say, why does Pep start such strong sides in the FA Cup and League Cup? It's because he's got a squad of players who need minutes, otherwise they won't be here anymore. You need to be able to manage it. So, as I say, you can't start your strongest side every single time. And also, you can have players on the bench. If you need to bring on De Bruyne or Haaland, you can still take them down to the ground. Just don't start them. You can bring them on if you need to.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. You do have to play. Because again, you got to play Oscar Bob. Yeah. If you're not playing him against Luton in the FA Cup, when are you going to play him? Do you know what I mean? You can't just give him 1 or 2 Premier League games every so often. Doku's got to play. Alvarez has got to play. So people who are moaning about this team, right? What are you moaning about? This is, let me go to
outside of Sergio Gomez. That is a perfectly reasonable team to be able to. That's a perfectly reasonable team.
Doku right's fine. Alvarez up top's fine. Oscar Bob's fine. Rico Lewis, I think he's fine. Yeah,
more than fine.
I think this defensive midfield here with Kovacic and Nunes is fine. This 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 is interesting. You know, I think I'll be serious. All that is my genuine opinion. Yeah, I think 10 out of those 11 players, I'm completely fine with playing. One of them, listen, I think Gomez in that position could thrive up there. You know, Gomez. Listen, I think Gomez gets a little bit too much hate. Yeah, Gomez into left back. He might be able to play left back in a low quality league, right, where he gets away with it. In the Premier League, Champions League, the guy's not good enough defensively, but he is good enough up this area of the pitch, 100%. 100%. So if you play the Gvardiol tactics, yeah, where you have him up the pitch, which we did at Kenilworth Road when we played Gvardiol up there, and we had Grealish actually in that game played a little bit more infield, and I think that was one of the first games we'd truly seen.
And that's what
Grealish
Bob can do.
And Bob can do that absolutely. He played in the middle last year for the academy, so he definitely played there. You know, I think that's a solid team, man. I don't get
it is. And again, you've got to appreciate that we are living in a world where you have to rotate. You've got to give some players some rest. You can't just say, "Oh, we'll start Rodri." Well, I mean, maybe he will, but at the same time, you've got to have the realism of going, well, we definitely need him fully fit for the Premier League games and the Champions League games coming up. Is it worth risking him in an FA Cup game, or actually is this the perfect opportunity to give him a little bit of a breather? It would be lovely if we could live in a world where we could play our strongest 11 every single week, but that's not realistic. And you've got to think about squad management. You've got to think of their fitness. You've got to think of their morale. You've got to think of these players need a chance to play as well. So yeah, outside of Gomez, maybe Grealish instead, whatever. That's a perfectly reasonable team to expect to see tomorrow, in my opinion.
Interesting. Karl says he thinks Kev will start. Nah.
I think Kev will come on with 20 to 30 minutes to give him some sharpness for the derby, regardless of the scoreline. I'd be very surprised if he started from the start.
Yeah, I don't see him starting, man. I don't see him unless he really needs the sharpness. Yeah, and then he's like, I need to play an hour to get some get sharp and that. But I'd be surprised if he does.
Even I want maximum one half of football. I don't want to see a full 90 or 70 minutes from him.
Yeah, 100%. Pitbull says we need to go full strength. FA Cup is important. Yeah, it's 100% important, man. And but we're not going to go full strength. You know, and I think to be honest with you, Pep Guardiola's comments after Bournemouth, I think he's kind of hinting. He's kind of hinting that you ain't going to get a full strength squad at Luton, mate. You know, he was moaning about the fixtures, say the players are tired, calling the players supermen and all that kind of stuff. So you're definitely not going to get a full strength. The FA Cup is 100% important. It 100% is, and I want to win it, but I don't think we're going to. But I think that's a strong 11.
Yeah, so is the Premier League, and so is the Champions League, and you've got to think. There's no point eating now to starve tomorrow. We've got to have consistent food on the table, and we can't do that if we just overwork our best players. We've got to rotate, and we've got to be reasonable about this. Again, I would love to start Rodri for every single minute of the season if it was physically possible and if it didn't impact him physically. But the fact of the matter is we live in a world where that will happen. So FA Cup's important. Every competition's important. And the importance should be measured by rotating, if anything, rather than looking at it as a weakness.
Yep, I agree. Bill 12B again with another super chat says, Cat was Pep in disguise listening to these haram tactics. Bro, the tactics are not haram, man.
These are highly halal. This is the most halal starting 11 you will see today, guys. High-key halal.
This is legit, bro.
Again, I don't understand what people have an issue with this team. You get the 3-2 build-up shape. You get you get the fullback playing as the winger, which is what we've done loads this season. You get Doku into what, in my opinion, is his best position. You get vital minutes for Bob and Lewis. Bob in probably his best position. Alvarez into his best position. You rotate key players like Rodri and Bernardo, but you still have a solid midfield in Kovacic and Nunes. You've got brilliant 1v1 defenders in Ake and Diaz. One of the best backup keepers in Ortega. And Kyle Walker's there as well. So it's a good time.
I know, I don't get it, man. It's weird.
Again, we play tomorrow, and then we have the derby a few days after. people need to realize this. And then 3 days after that, we have a knockout Champions League game. And then 3 days after that, we go away to Anfield. We have to think about managing the squad.
Yeah.
That's the key here. I agree with everyone that this is not the strongest starting 11. You've got to think about the context and the fact it's the FA Cup.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I agree with you. It's interesting that people saying it's not a good team and saying we're trying to sabotage our FA Cup.
I would argue the people who want to play too strong a starting 11, you're sabotaging our Premier League and Champions League aspirations because you're going to overwork this team into the ground.
Potentially, yeah, 100%. This is, you can't play the strongest 11 every single game. You got to rest players. And that might be a reason why the performance has been poor recently, because we're knackered. Who knows? Played a lot of football this year, lads. Maybe we're tired, innit? Yeah. Maybe that trip to Abu Dhabi wasn't the best idea. Maybe we should have just let them chill. Sent them to Cheshire as well. You know what I mean? A jet lag instead. You know what I mean? This is what it is. Right, final 10 minutes of the show. A couple people have been mentioning Erling Haaland in the chat. Want us to speak about Erling Haaland. Missed a few opportunities against Bournemouth. He's on 17 Premier League goals, 5 assists in the Premier League this year. So what's that? 22 goal involvements in 21. So still very good. But yeah, didn't quite look at the races fully. Looked very down. Obviously, he had I don't want to dwell on it, but obviously he had a family loss, which clearly affected him. I don't know if you guys seen his what's it called? His Instagram story. You know what I mean? He posted it the day after the game, or yesterday. Well, yesterday I think he posted it because I think his grandma passed away. And obviously, I think he wanted to play. But there has been some criticism about Erling Haaland this year and his finishing. I think that whilst his finishing maybe hasn't been quite as good last year, I still think that it's to me it's I'm not looking at it as a major issue right now. I think just keep playing him. Some players, you drop them when they're not playing particularly well or they're missing chances. And some players, you play them into form. I believe, my personal opinion, is that you just keep playing him. You just keep playing him. And I think with the introduction of Kevin De Bruyne coming back in there, he will start finding the net. I mean, people making it sound like he's not scored any goals, but he has. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think he'll stop missing us these chances if we keep playing him into games. I also think he's a big game player. So I think as we come into the month of March, where we have big games, I think you'll see maybe his focus dial in a little bit more. But what's your take on Haaland? Do you think the criticism on him is fair, or do you think people are going a little bit over the top? Do you think it is reasonable? Like, what's your take?
It's definitely fair to criticize his finishing, because objectively his finishing has been below average. Like he's underperforming in terms of what his expected goals is. So it's perfectly fine to criticize his finishing, especially compared to last season where he's massively overperforming. This is the first season where he has underperformed since he was like a child at Mulder. So basically since he started playing football at a senior level, when he joined Salzburg and then at Dortmund, now at City, he's overperformed every single season. This is the first season where he hasn't done that. I still expect him to overperform come the end of the season because that's the sort of player he is. I would actually say, though, that I think he's playing better this season than last season from every other perspective. His hold-up play is better. His link-up play is better. His movement is better. He's getting better quality chances, and that's not just because...
Is his movement better?
Well, that's what I'm about to say. He's getting better quality chances, and that's not because we've suddenly turned into better playmakers compared to last season. I think it's because Haaland is a player who creates his own chances. For example, the Brentford goal, in the recent 1-0, that goal is entirely Haaland's own doing. And because of his own good first touch and movement getting his team the goal. Because the pass from Alvarez is a bad pass. It is an objectively bad pass. Without Haaland's brilliant first touch there, and as I say, movement... you can talk about the defender falling over. I still think he beats him and scores the goal. We don't score that goal. And there have been a couple of times this season where that has happened, where he creates his own chances. And sure, he's missing them at a faster rate, but I'd actually argue his overall play has improved and gone up a level. So it's not like a case of if he doesn't score, he isn't offering anything. He still offers a lot for City. He's still dragging defenders. He's still, against Bournemouth, his passing and link-up play was brilliant. I thought his hold-up play, he was a brilliant outlet. So I'm not too concerned about Haaland this season. Again, the finishing should be better. It needs to improve. Otherwise, we probably don't win the title. But this is definitely not a case of, bench him, don't... he's clearly a player, if we're to believe, the whole he has to play after the passing of his family member. He's probably the sort of person who wants to almost be distracted by his work and wants to just get his head down and continue working and play his way out of bad finishing form. So he's only going to do that by playing him more. And I think the United game at home is a perfect opportunity to do that. Got a hat trick against them last season. Well, he got three goals and 2 assists last season, didn't he? Got a 10 out of 10 from L'Équipe. So perfect opportunity for him. Great morale booster, obviously, against our derby, our local rivals in a derby. Yeah, I actually think, sounds stupid, but bar the subpar finishing, I actually think his overall game has gone up a level this season.
I agree. I do think his overall game has probably improved. His link up play was good. That has improved. He's only scored in 2 games out of the last 8 Premier League matches, which is probably a slight concern. However, out of those 8, 2 of them came against Spurs and Villa. You know what I mean? Which I don't recall him actually having any chance. He didn't have any. He had 1 chance against Villa, which was a great save for Martinez. The Tottenham game at home, I can't actually remember him having any chances in that game.
There was a bad one where Alvarez won the ball back and he had a tap in. To be fair, Alvarez won it from Emerson Royal and he played it to him and he did miss an open net.
Did he? Damn. Okay, fair enough. So that's 1 out of the 8 that maybe could have helped us. We won the rest apart from the Chelsea game at home.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's costing us majorly points wise as well. You know what I mean? In games, and at the end of the day, I just think City fans we should be backing this guy, man. You should be getting on his case.
And again, he like De Bruyne. De Bruyne can play badly in a game, but you keep him on the pitch because you know that he just needs 1 moment to come up with some brilliance. Same with the Brentford game. He only needed that 1 moment to control that bad pass and then score on his own. He's the sort of player who can do that. And even the goal against Bournemouth, that goal came about because of Haaland's movement and because of his strength. Sure, he didn't score himself. It was tricky from a tight angle, but the goal came from Haaland. I know he didn't get the assist, but he basically got the assist. So we probably don't score without him in that game either. So yeah, there's no question that he should be benched or whatever. He should be if he's fit, he should start in certainly every single big game.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He's a game breaker.
Big up to Woody, says I watched a docu compilation on Twitter. Haaland and Alvarez are criminals. Honestly, man, when you see the chances that Doku's created that we've wasted this year, it is bad, to be honest with you. Big up to Jimmy, says he'll still get 40 goals this season, which is nuts. How many is he on in all comps now? Let me have a look. All comps, he's on 22. So he needs 18 in what? How many Prem games we got left? 12 plus, hopefully many more Champions League games. Hopefully a few more FA Cup games.
That can definitely happen. One hat trick, and then suddenly that becomes realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Jimmy's not chatting nonsense there. He could 100% get 40 goals. You know what I mean? Which is, considering he missed, how long did he miss? He was out from the 12th of October, come back 31st of January. So he missed basically what?
He was out for a couple of months, wasn't he?
He was out for 2 months. He missed 2 months worth of football. He missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Prem games. He missed 1 Champions League game. That's 6 games. He missed the 2 Club World Cup games. What's that? 8. And he missed 2 FA Cup games. He missed 10 matches. Yeah. He missed 10 games of the season and he could still get 40 goals. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But at the end of the day, one thing I would say is, I suppose when you're this type of player, Ronaldo and Messi probably got this as well, and Mbappe probably gets it. When you're a player where it sets such high standards, if it is visible at all that your games maybe dropped ever so slightly, people will get on your back, and it probably shows just how good a footballer you are, rather than anything else. That when you've scored 22 goals and 6 assists, which is 28 goal involvements in 29 matches. Yeah, and you've missed 10 matches of the season. People are getting on the back of you saying you need to improve. Just shows you. I suppose it's more of a compliment, really, isn't it? Because people are saying now you can be better than this. You've scored 26 goals, or you got 26 goal involvements. You've missed 10 matches, but you still can be better. So I think it's probably a compliment, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. Anything else you wanted to speak about, bro, before we wrap up, or anything in the chat, guys? Let us know if there's anything you wanted to speak about before we wrap up.
Yeah, just it's crunch time now. We've got this is where we now need to see the change in performances. It's now or never. We can't afford to drop any more points. So if we are going to have this, classic Man City winning games in a row and putting in unbelievable performances, it has to. I'm going to give the Luton game not a miss. I'm not really going to count that in my thinking because FA Cup rotation, etc. But from the United game onwards, we've got to see brilliant performances, and we've got to see the results that follow that. If we want to have any hope of winning this title, the United game has to be a win. It has to be a good win, given their injury situation, and given ours, everyone's coming back. And also, look at the teams we play. United, Anfield, Brighton away, Arsenal at home, Palace away is hard with a new manager. Aston Villa at home is hard. Spurs away is hard.
Yeah. No, I agree. And of course, we've not really spoke about it today, but Rodri is going to be available for Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal, providing he doesn't get injured or a straight red or 2 bookings, because he's managed himself absolutely magnificently. 6 Premier League games in a row without a yellow card. That's amazing. Providing that Brighton or Man City go through to the 6th round of the FA Cup, that Brighton game will be removed. So that means he will be available for the Arsenal game. You know what I mean? And the game, the thing resets after Palace, I'm pretty sure. So he's the way Rodri has managed himself over this last 2 months with regards to his yellow cards have been absolutely fantastic. And I seen you tweet about it when you said that you can clearly see in that game against Bournemouth where the guy ran past him, and not just Rodri, any DM in the world in that situation just pulls him down and takes a yellow card. But he let him go. Now at the time I was thinking, oh damn, you should have just took the yellow. You should have took the yellow there, but he didn't, and luckily we got away with it. But I think now he'll probably be let loose a little bit, and he can probably do what he wants now, because obviously we've got past that period of the United, Liverpool, Arsenal. Of course, Aston Villa still a very tough game, etc. But those 3 games are really the crucial ones, aren't they?
100%. Yeah, we didn't have him at the Emirates, for example, and it showed. So 100%. Yeah, massive. Assuming that he's available.
Yeah, well, there we go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode of L Bins. And big up to the super chatters today. We had a LB with a few super chats. Thank you, bro. Big up to Babanga, Piplup, and Jimmy 5 Chins. Appreciate it, guys. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And we've got 14k subscribers. I'll just double check. Make sure you smash the like and make sure you subscribe to Nobbins. The link is in the description. We're 5 subscribers away. 5 subscribers away from 14,000 subs, man. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Nobbins has got a video out on Alvarez's position, which is very, very, very worth a watch, I would say, because obviously that's been a big debate recently with the City fans about where Alvarez's best position is. So go check that out. I'm on now with Saeed. The stream will automatically redirect you. Don is about to get absolutely cooked for his shambolic choice to support Chelsea Football Club with Pochettino as the manager. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash a like, subscribe. If you're watching back on replay, guys, make sure you leave your comments down below. And I'll see you in Saeed's stream. Catch you later.